Okay, this is a video tour of the Mechanical Engineering Department's facilities, a brief tour. So this is Hoyt Hall. As we enter in, there is a main lobby where students are working hard.
Trying.
Little space for students to work.
Hopefully, yeah.
As we come in, there is a machine shop that supports a lot of our activity, both for certain lab courses as well as for senior design projects and other department activities. One cool thing that is done is that during our sophomore lab course, students actually are instructed, and each individual student builds their own Stirling engine, starting from each student's given a kit, and starting from that kit, they are guided through the process of machining in order to be able to construct their own personal Stirling engines, and the competition is done to see whose flywheel can spin the fastest after putting a small vial of alcohol with a wick on it, and the burning of that would heat up the gas inside the cylinder, causing the flywheel to spin. We have here a Cnc Lathe, and that is our machine shop supervisor that is operating that machine. And he hires also during the year several students that work in the machine shop as machine shop assistants. We have here a CNC machine, as well as a wire EDM machine, which is an interesting piece of equipment that actually uses a wire to cut through metal like butter in order to be able to construct things such as our own gears and other pieces of equipment. This is a gear that we've actually made here using the wire EDM machine. And those gears can be integrated, for example, into integrated into our Baja car, for example. This is a car that our students are in the process of converting from gas into electric for our Society of Automotive Engineers Baja team. Every year our students go to a collegiate competition with many other schools, and we have a full team here that students are able to participate in. Next space. Our next space is going to be what we have here is an extension of our machine shop. We have a plasma cutter here, as well as a few welding booths. Over in this space is our 3D print shop, managed by our staff engineer. Students use 3D printing that's integrated into a few of their courses. Exiting this lab, we can enter into a space that is called our materials testing lab. So this space is used for our sophomore lab, where students use all of this all this equipment to test material properties. So we have here an impact tester. You have a specifically cut to a certain shape piece of metal that's put into a fixture down here, and then you have this huge club that's lifted and locked at a certain angle, released, and the backswing angle is to measure what we call the impact strength. We have a tensile compression testing here, as well as what we call a Rockwell hardness. So here we have a piece of equipment. One is newer than another, but we have two machines here that are used to be able to take a sample metal and look at its hardness. Next, we're going to transition to our lab spaces upstairs. So this space is our junior lab, where we do experiments in instrumentation in the fall, and in the spring semester, it's set up for thermal fluid science laboratories. So we have a fully functional wind tunnel that's able to test lift and drag and pitch a force of different types of wing segments, or study the aerodynamics of different shapes that are put inside this test section. We also have other experiments that looks at fluid mechanics. So here we have a bunch of piping that goes into, that is not actually part of the building, but part of an experiment looking at pump performance and pressure drop in pipes. Here we have an experiment that deals in insulation testing, and we have heat exchangers, and over here is a heat transfer experiment in the corner that looks at convective heat transfer and many other experiments that help sort of bring into practice things that students learn in class. This next space is their senior design lab. So when students work on their senior design projects, a lot of times they have their team meetings in here, and as the projects take shape over time, a lot of them are housed in here. So there's various components of different design projects that are starting to come together at this point due to the fact that we're approaching the later half of the spring semester. And the last space that we'll show is our robotics lab. We have 2 courses in robotics that also have lab components, and those labs and also the senior design projects associated with the robotics all take place in here. So we have a robotic arm here from a company called Quanzer that our students learn how to program, as well as an industrial robot. This industrial robot has sensors that allow it to be able to sense things in its environment and execute certain tasks according to what it senses, depending on how it's programmed. Also, students have a mobile robot course as well. The mobile robots are not currently in this room, but they have robots that are on wheels that are able to trek along and use its sensors in order to accomplish different tasks and respond according to what it senses. What we have here is a continuation of the senior design project. We have a valve inside of this cage, a valve handle, and the valve and valve handle itself is put under various tests, open, closed frequencies, forces, in order to be able to, this system is designed in order to be able to test the strength of the valve as it's put under different stresses and cycles.